In this video, we will explore the numbers most commonly used in arithmetic and algebra. They are called the real numbers. We can represent them graphically with a number line. Clearly, this number line goes beyond 10 to the right, and over here on the left goes further than negative 10, but we're only showing it from negative 10 up to 10. The numbers that you're most familiar with are the ones that are actually shown here on the number line. So we're very familiar with numbers like negative 7, negative 2, 0, 5, and 8, for instance. These numbers all have a special name. They are called integers. Notice that the integers contain negative values as well as positive values and also include 0. In between the integers, though, are an infinite number of other numbers. You're probably most familiar with things like 2/3, maybe 3/2, negative 7/5, which probably could be better written as negative 7/5. You'll notice that these numbers have an integer in the numerator as well as an integer in the denominator. So what we have for all of these is a ratio of two integers. Therefore, they are named rational numbers. By rational, you will see that it contains the word ratio right there in the word. So we're expressing those as a ratio of two integers. Sometimes they're nice. Sometimes the rational numbers could include something like 312 over 27, which is not nearly as nice, but is a rational number nonetheless. You may think that we could find every point on the number line, all of those that are marked as well as the ones in between, by using integers and rational numbers. There are actually more numbers on the number line, or more points on the number line, that are not rational than that are. Let me point out one last thing about rational numbers. The integers are in fact rational numbers, because we could write negative 2 as negative 2 over 1. So rational numbers would include the integers. So what would you call a number that's not rational? It's fairly obvious, I think, that you could call those irrational numbers. In other words, not rational. So what numbers are irrational? Probably the most common number in mathematics that is irrational is pi. So you might often express that as 3.14, but you know that if you put pi into your calculator, it just keeps going. It never ends. So 3.14 is really only an approximation of pi. The number pi is an exact value that can't be expressed in any simpler way. So it would be, about here on the number line is where pi would exist. So it exists at a point on the number line. It is a real place on the number line, but it can't be expressed as a ratio of integers, no matter how hard you look. You won't be able to find that. And you can't express it as a decimal that truncates. Other examples of rational numbers would be things like, irrational numbers would be things like the square root of 2. If you put that into your calculator, you'll see that it goes on for a long time. You can start writing out decimal places, but it will never end, even though your calculator screen stops writing numbers. So, just in quick summary, rational numbers and integers could be linked together. Integers are a subset of rational numbers, like negative 7, negative 2, 0. But rational numbers would include integers, but there are rational numbers that are not integers. Irrational numbers would be everything that is not rational. But all of these would be under the heading of being real numbers.